Hello, listeners. It's Hank from Hank Sayz, and I just wanted to tell you about the structure of this episode. So, in part 1 of this Black Panther episode, we're going to be having the fast facts, the first sight, and half of the diving board, we're going to be talking about the actual movie itself. And in part 2, coming out a little bit later, we're going to be talking about all of the characters, and then we're going to do the guessing games and the shameless plugs. So, thank you for your cooperation, and please enjoy part 1 of Black Panther. Hello there. I'm Hank, and welcome to my podcast, Hank Sayz, where we talk all things Marvel, DC, Star Wars, and Harry Potter. Today we're talking about the phenomenal MCU film Black Panther, but I didn't feel right gabbing on without a fellow gabber, so please put your ear flaps together once again for my co-host, Alan. How are you doing today, Alan?
I'm doing awesome. Let's get right into it.
Starting with the fast facts. What is that, Alan?
The Fast Facts is the first section of the podcast where we break down the who's, the what's, the whens, the where's, the whys, and the how's of our subject for you in case one of your friends doesn't know who or what Black Panther is, so that you can be the one to educate them.
That's right. The fast facts for Black Panther are that he is a Marvel Comics character created by Stan Lee and Jack Kirby, and he first appeared in the Fantastic Four number 52 during the Silver Age of Comics. As for the movie, it came out on February 16th, 2018, directed by Ryan Coogler and produced by Kevin Feige, who is the head of Marvel at the time of this recording. Good on you, Kevin. It was also written by Ryan Coogler and Joe Robert Cole. The movie starred Chadwick Boseman as T'Challa, Michael B. Jordan as Killmonger, Lupita Nyong'o as Nakia, Danny Gurira as Okoye, Martin Freeman as Zuri, Daniel Kaluuya as W'Kabi, Letitia Wright as Shuri, Winston Duke as M'Baku, Angela Bassett as Queen Mada, Forrest Whitaker as Everett Ross, and Andy Serkis as Ulysses Klaue. The movie had a runtime of 2 hours, and its budget was $200 million, and it made $1.347 billion in the box office.
Wow, $1.34 billion? You could buy over 300 million chicken McNuggets with that money.
Wow. That's almost enough to last us one weekend. Let's move on to the second part of the podcast, the first sight.
The first sight is the second section of the podcast where we peel back the curtain of time and reveal where we first met our subject.
So, I first sighted Black Panther on the Marvel Cinematic Universe wiki. See, I didn't have access to MCU movies, so I just researched everything about them, and I first encountered Black Panther while reading the plot of Captain America Civil War, because, he's a big part of that movie.
Right.
And I actually got to see Black Panther in the theaters when it came out, and it was the first MCU movie I've ever seen, so it does hold a special place in my heart.
Yeah.
And honestly, I almost cried seeing Wakanda for the first time.
Aw. I personally first saw him in the movie when it came out, but I didn't get to go with Hank because I was playing with a dog and got bit on the hand by it.
Oh.
And I was just bleeding profusely, so I had to go to urgent care and get that fixed. So I didn't get to go see it with Hank.
Yeah, I remember that. What did you think of him in other movies, though?
I really did like him. He was pretty good in Infinity War and Endgame. He kind of, helped out the rest of the crew in Infinity War.
Right.
Defend from Thanos and whatnot. And then in Endgame, he kind of just shows up at the end and fights people and, carries the gauntlet for a while.
Right, but I mean, he was pretty pivotal bringing all them Wakandan soldiers.
He was. That is true.
Plus, portals, right? Chills.
Right. The portals. But that's a topic for another episode.
Right. So now that we've revealed our origins for Black Panther, let's move on to the main section of our podcast, the diving board,
where we dive deep into the pool of learning that is the Black Panther movie.
So, the structure of this episode is going to be we walk through the movie and talk about certain scenes, and then we're going to talk about certain characters.
Cool, let's get started.
Alright, so it starts out showing us the history of Wakanda, all the tribes settling on it. And it has some cool black sand graphics. Then we get to see a little piece of Killmonger, the main villain's childhood. Right. And we get to see Killmonger's father, N'Jobu, taken into custody by T'Chaka, T'Challa's father.
Right.
for stealing vibranium. So, what did you think of this little prologue for Black Panther?
I think it's a great beginning. There's a lot of opening scenes of movies where they narrate stuff, and I feel like, personally, a lot of them aren't good, but I feel like they really nailed this one. And I really like the black sand 3D art. I think that's really cool.
What you just mentioned is a theory that it's Njobu and Eric talking, when he's like, tell me a story.
Well, yeah, it definitely sounds like it.
I really like the sand as well, and it's used for the Kamoye bead gadgets later.
Right.
And also, when the Wakandans arrive, there's just kind of this scene where Njobu looks around, and the Wakandans haven't made any sign that they're there yet. So I think that it might have something to do with the blue words on the bottom of their lips that make them Wakandan, and I think that they can somehow sense each other when they're there. I don't know.
That would be interesting. Alright, so next, Black Panther beats up some terrorists, rescues Nakia to bring her back to Wakanda for his ceremony of him being crowned king. And she handles the death like a champ. So they go back to Wakanda, and the city's amazing, and you get to see all that. And yeah, what did you think about this part?
Well, as far as the beginning of this scene goes, I really like the terrorist fight thing.
Yeah.
And I love the glow that BP's eyes have at the beginning when he's up in the tree,
Yeah.
Although we never actually get to see where Nakia has been or what her mission is, and we never actually get to know what that mission is.
Right.
But as far as Wakanda, it's the perfect blend of modern and culture, you get to see just this extremely high-tech society meshed with a culture that is very connected to its African roots, and it's it's really cool.
I agree. Alright, then T'Challa fights M'Baku for the right to be king, because M'Baku apparently wants to be king, and T'Challa wins, and he gets crowned king. And then he goes to the ancestral plane after getting buried in sand, meets his father, and talks with him a bunch. What did you think about this part?
Well, I thought that it was a cool / eerie intro to the Jabari tribe, and I'm going to talk about this more when we get to the character pieces, but oh my gosh, it's so much better than in the comics.
Is it terrible in the comics?
Oh my gosh, yes. But we'll talk about that later.
Okay.
As far as the fight between M'Baku and T'Challa, I really liked, the choreography was amazing. They also had really cool music, the hero theme, the da-da-da, da-da-da, T'Challa!
Yeah.
That one at the end of the fight. And, the ancestral plane theme with the past Black Panthers all hanging out in the tree.
Right.
And the best line, I think, from possibly the whole movie is when his dad says, hold on, let me see if I can do the accent. You're a good man with a good heart, and it's hard for a good man to be king.
Yeah, I really like that line too. And you nailed the accent there.
Thank you. I've been training.
I really do think some of the special effects on this movie were just the best that we've had, even compared to newer movies like Endgame.
Oh yeah.
I think really, even just the water when the ship is dropping off T'Challa to the fighting arena by the waterfall, and the hover plates on the underside of the actual ship cause the water to ripple in this really cool pattern. It's just, just the detail and stuff that they put in that you could go without. It wouldn't matter if it was there, but since they added it, you notice it, and it's really cool.
Little sidebar, do you think that the water is more realistic and better looking than in, say, Endgame, when Doctor Strange uses his magic to, make it all go
yeah,
in the
of course
air?
I think it does, because he's making a tornado.
Well, good point.
And that's not really realistic. But enough of that. I do really like the choreography, but one thing I don't like is T'Challa gets stabbed where his heart is by M'Baku with the long stick, and it goes pretty far in, but he's all like, oh, I can take a hit, and now I'm going to show you that I'm the rightful king. But no, he would probably be fatally wounded or even die, since he didn't have the Black Panther juice flowing through his veins at the time, so I don't think he would have been able to heal quickly from that, and I really do think he would have died from that. So maybe they should have, just switched sides to the other side.
Well, yeah, but I wonder if it's as deep as it seems in the movie, or if they made it look deeper than it was.
Maybe it does go like a good inch or two in. So yeah, maybe, I don't know.
Yeah, well, it is of course a Marvel movie. They can't just kill off their main character right at the beginning. But that is a great scene. So what happens next?
Well, Killmonger and Claw break into a museum to steal a vibranium axe. It kind of looks like an axe, but it's like curved.
It's like a hoe.
Yeah, it's like a hoe almost. But they steal it, and Killmonger also steals a mask just for fun. And yeah, that's a pretty intense scene. What did you think about it?
Well, I really liked Claw in this movie. Yeah, he was basically the first Marvel villain I encountered, and I just found him so authentic, really, you know? And I feel like Andy Serkis did a great job. And other than him and Killmonger, however, I didn't think that the other two were necessary. Like, I saw, like, their purpose, but as to what happens later in the airport scene, I just feel as if they're not very necessary. Like, the big guy with the beard and the girl that's like their tech support. Like, I didn't think that that's very necessary.
Yeah, it wasn't really necessary.
What about you?
You know, this scene actually kind of reminds me of the scene from Ocean's 11 where they all pretend to be like army personnel or SWAT team, and they go in with the bags and they're like disguised and they actually steal the money. Where, like, in this scene, they're dressing up as EMTs and coming in to save, quote-unquote, the person, but they end up killing everybody and sneaking out and acting like they actually, saved someone.
It was brilliant. And, Claw says, makes us look like amateurs.
Yeah.
But I don't know why he's John Lennon. but, yeah, he's, like, it's fiendishly clever, making the inciting incident. But I mean, anyone that's 5 levels down from Sherlock levels intelligence can be like, wait a minute, how did they get here so fast? I don't know. It was pretty fiendishly clever, though.
Yeah, it was pretty good.
So, Black Panther and the Council of Elders have a little meeting about what to do about Claw because they uncovered intelligence that he's going to be selling the vibranium, and they decide to go and get him. And so they gear up, and Black Panther takes Okoye and Nakia, and they fly over to Korea, and behind some sort of disgusting fish market looking thing is a curtain that reveals a super top secret gambling casino where Claw is going to be selling his vibranium to Everett Ross.
Dun, dun, dun.
From the U.S. government and from Captain America Civil War. And so he's trying to buy the vibranium off of Claw and with lit uncut diamonds.
Ooh.
Anyway, the deal goes sour because this is Ulysses Claw we're dealing with, and a huge fight ensues, and everyone looks super cool, and then they all go outside, and there's a big car chase sponsored by Lexus.
Oh, yes. I really do think that the car chase is made better because the cars are sponsored by Lexus.
Right, of course.
Yeah, it makes it way better.
Obviously.
Right. Also, a funny side note, Stan gets his cameo in the casino where Black Panther wins the pot while he's talking to Everett Ross, and Stan is just like, here, let me just take the money and hold on to it for safekeeping so I can use it later, basically. And
Hold on. Do it again, but with the Stanley voice.
Oh, okay. You know what? I think I'm just gonna take these, put them over here, and hold on to them for safekeeping.
Wow, that's actually pretty good.
Really? Yeah. Thanks. Yeah, I also like the funny scene where Black Panther gets launched off the car that Shuri is remotely piloting. You know, where she's like driving and then Claw fires his arm cannon at the car and she's like, and she just slides and then the car gets obliterated and Black Panther flies off.
Such good VFX.
Yeah.
It really does feel like a Bond film, doesn't it?
Yeah.
You know? And Everett Ross, right, from earlier, he's great in this movie. I enjoyed him way more in this than in Captain America Civil War. And earlier, when they're, gearing up and such,
Mm-hmm.
their Panther Cave, I'm just going to call it that because it looks like the Bat Cave, but with a big panther.
Yeah, definitely.
It's so full of cool gadgets and all of this different culture. And also, Wakabi, who's going to be important later, he's one of the council members, is Tucker from Johnny English, which is right, that kind of spoofy Bond film.
Yep, I really like that movie.
Oh yeah. So what happens next?
Well, they bring Claw to the CIA. It's not really like an official CIA headquarters because they're in Korea.
Right.
It's kind of just a building. It's tied up to a chair. Everett Ross interrogates him, and Claw reveals some secrets about Wakanda to Ross. He doesn't really believe him, but then asks Black Panther if this is all true, what Claw is saying.
Yeah, because he reveals that Claw didn't actually steal all of Wakanda's vibranium.
Right, and they have lots more. So then Killmonger comes to rescue Claw and escapes with Claw, and Everett Ross gets shot and he's like dying, which is not good. So Black Panther gives up on the chase pretty much because he gets shot and blown back and he can't chase them. So he returns to Ross and they take him to Wakanda because they apparently can save him.
Yeah. So Claw is he's a bit cray-cray, you know?
He's crazy.
He's a couple arm cannons short of an arsenal, if you know what I'm saying. And he is singing in his chair, he's bleeding from his head, and you can just kind of know that this guy's kind of insane.
Yeah.
And which makes him a very difficult enemy to combat.
Right.
So, also later when, Ross gets shot, they're flying back to Wakanda, and Okoye is very concerned that Ross is going to, report back once they heal him and tell them about all of those things, which, I understand from her point of view. She's just trying to do what's best for her country. And, but I do admire Ross, just like jumping in front and taking that bullet. And also I admire BP, Black Panther. He has great character, deciding to take in Ross despite the dangers to the country as well.
Yeah.
Also, Shuri's line when she finds out that she's meant to medically heal Ross. Oh, good! Another broken white boy for us to fix.
Yeah, I really like those funny Shuri comments. And I really do think that Okoye being overprotective of the country is kind of a thing that's throughout the movie pretty consistent until the end when she changes her mind. And she really just thinks that the safety of the country is more important than, like, saving people or helping different people.
Which, kind of like we can't help other people while we're busy helping our own.
Yeah.
So, next, Killmonger kills Claw, because hence the name Killmonger.
Right.
And takes his dead body to Wakanda after killing the other two members of their group, the guy with the beard and the one girl.
Right.
And reveals himself to the council as the killer of Claw and the son of Unjobu.
Whoa.
Yep. And the green guy on the council, the guy who only wears green clothing and who has a great big green lip piercing, ruins everything because Killmonger would just be sitting in prison if not for him.
If nobody knew his name, it's like the man in the iron mask,
Nobody knew who he was. Then
yep, he just Then Killmonger challenges T'Challa to ritual combat because he wants the throne. T'Challa gets beaten by Killmonger.
What?
Yeah, gets thrown off the waterfall cliff. And then Killmonger proceeds to distribute weapons to basically all of Wakanda to fight the entire world.
Wait. So you're saying that a Marvel superhero, other than Spider-Man, gets beaten in his movie?
Yes. Yeah, it's crazy. Also, we get to see a scene where Shuri has healed Ross, and Ross is kind of questioning her about, like, all the vibranium stuff.
Oh, yeah.
And I think it's really cool CGI scene where they, like, go down into the Panther cave and with all the vibranium and tech around them. I think that's just really cool. It just has, like, just so much detail, and it's just, they just did a really good job.
Oh, yeah.
But Black Panther doesn't want to fight Killmonger for the throne, which, you know, I don't know. I think he could have put up a better fight. It doesn't seem like he did that very well. Also, Zuri dies from a stab wound because Killmonger stabs him toward the end before he throws Black Panther off the cliff. And he does it on the side, the opposite side of his heart.
Oh, right.
Where there's nothing's there, but he just gets stabbed and then basically falls down dead. And it's just kind of unreal. Like, Zuri and Black Panther should have swapped sides, you know? For it to be more realistic. Because if he got stabbed there, he shouldn't die or even bleed out. He would probably be okay, but he basically just dies. And it's just, I don't feel like it's really realistic at all.
Interesting. I mean, you could argue that he, like, broke his neck or something on the way down, like, on the rocky floor on which they are battling.
I don't think so.
But, like you said, with the whole Zuri scenes, Zuri recognizes Killmonger from his childhood. Like, it's all over his face. Like, he knows this kid. And when Zuri dies, it just visibly breaks something inside T'Challa. The person who's been his father figure once his father has passed on. And it's heartbreaking how great the performance is by Chadwick Boseman. And, you know, you can really feel that death. That's rare in Marvel movies, but you can really feel that. So what happens next is Nakia, Shuri, the Queen, and Everett Ross, who has been healed up by this point, flee Wakanda, and Nakia takes one of the last heart-shaped herbs. And Killmonger gains the powers of the Black Panther by eating one of said herbs, and goes to the ancestral plane, has a meaningful conversation with his dad, and then when he comes out of it, he's all like, the heart-shaped herb did that. And the ancestors are like, yeah. And then he's like, alright, go ahead and burn it all. And so they burn the entire garden of the heart-shaped herb. Meanwhile, the 4 intrepid travelers find the Jabari tribe up in the mountains, and they plead with M'Baku to take the heart-shaped herb and gain the powers of the Black Panther and, fight to free Wakanda. But instead, M'Baku shows them that Black Panther is alive!
Dun dun dun!
Plot twist. Also, M'Baku just, like, he's got some pretty good character there, man. Like, not deciding to get pretty dope powers from eating the herb while T'Challa still lives because he knows that it's really his by right, you know?
And he owed a debt to T'Challa to save his life. He saved his.
Which is an honorable thing to do, you know? As I say, way better than the comics.
Right.
And also, it seems kind of like a trend, like, you get the heart-shaped herb, you drink the liquid, and then you have to get buried to go to the ancestral plane? Because T'Challa does it once, and then Killmonger, and then T'Challa does it again in the snow. And it's like, is that, like, a requirement? Do I just, like, ingest grape juice and cover myself in snow, and boom?
Yeah. That's kind of interesting. Also, Ross doesn't seem very concerned that T'Challa is dead, and he doesn't seem very relieved when T'Challa is alive. He's just kind of there. He tries to talk to M'Baku, and then M'Baku makes a joke about how if he keeps talking, he'll feed him to his children.
Oh, man.
And then says that they're all vegetarian.
That's like one of the best moments.
Yeah, it's pretty good.
What's up with the whole gorilla motif anyway? Like, just kind of like me and the boys every time we try to shut someone up.
Yeah, seriously. Also, the heart-shaped herb plant itself is apparently really flammable.
Really?
Yeah, because you see them, they just, like, hold torches to them, and then it just, like, burns. And then you see the scene with Killmonger staring at all of it, and it's just going.
Yeah.
So it obviously must be a pretty flammable plant, and I wonder how, that works. If there's ever been something in the past like that happen, like a torch fell and ignited one of them. I don't know if that has happened in the past. That could have happened. I also think this entire movie should now be called Wakanda Civil War, because it's basically a civil war at this point.
No, they gotta get money somehow, so they gotta call it Black Panther Civil War.
Oh yeah, I
the
see.
sequel to Captain America Civil War.
I see. All
Also, the Jabari guy M'Baku, he says that they're all vegetarians.
right.
But if you see the landscape, it's all snow and ice.
It's all snow and ice.
Where
How
do the
in
veggies come from?
I mean, they could have like a greenhouse type of thing, but still, that's a really cold environment.
It's actually pretty impressive.
Yeah.
How did they grow veggies?
All right. Well, next, Black Panther argues with his father in the ancestral plane because he just ate the heart-shaped herb and he went to the ancestral plane. He argues with his father and the previous Black Panthers and tells them that they were all wrong, which is kind of a big deal. He is healed. He goes back to talk to M'Baku about letting his friends and family stay there.
Right.
Specifically his mother, and asks him if he can have his army for support. M'Baku says no. So T'Challa goes to confront Killmonger and basically the rest of Wakanda that has sided with Killmonger.
It's less of a no from M'Baku and more of a denial. Like Black Panther tries to like do a slam dunk and M'Baku is just like there and blocks him and smacks the ball down on his head.
Yeah, it kind of ruins the moment.
No kidding. Also, like when he comes back, Shuri gives him the necklace that she also apparently swiped from the lab. Like, how much time did these people have? But it's kind of like Ross hasn't seen that the necklace has the thing, so he's in his head. He's probably like, "Oh, she gave him a necklace.
That's nice."
Yeah. But what happens next is really cool because there's a huge battle, one of the arguably the coolest like army battles in MCU history.
Bigger battles.
Yeah, so there's Black Panther versus the Border Tribe, not just some, the entire Border Tribe.
Right.
Like 50 dudes. And then there's Killmonger versus the Dora Milaje.
Because the Dora Milaje decide that Killmonger's evil.
Right.
And confront him.
But only 4 of the Dora Milaje, and the rest go to aid Black Panther in fighting the Border Tribe.
Right.
And then Shuri and Nakia team up and start trying to like hack into stuff.
Right.
And then Ross is the only one that is a pilot and goes to destroy the shipments of weapons that Killmonger is sending out to the world.
Right.
Those Border Tribe dudes, like, their shields are so cool.
Yeah, with the cloths, how they just like put it around themselves and then just like create a wall. It's pretty sweet.
I think that it's awesome that it also isn't just like a huge wall that just like appears, like it slowly goes up, and they all start at different times and they start doing that. Also, Wakabi summons the war rhinos, which are so cool. Not Rino the Hamster from Bolt, the ones with the vibranium armor, and it's just like, oh man. Like, you can have a cavalry, sure, that's cool. You can ride tanks, whatever. No,
rhinos.
Ride war rhinos.
That's
also, Ross is like a crack shot, man.
Yeah, he's a pretty good pilot.
Like, and of course he had his controls modeled after America's whatever for him, because he can't do the whole Doctor Strange looking thing that Okoye does at the beginning of the movie.
Right.
Like sitting and just chilling out. But yeah, that's super cool.
One thing I do want to comment on though is when Okoye is battling Killmonger with, I think it's 3 other Dora Milaje at first, and the rest of the Dora Milaje go to fight in the main battle. Okoye just kind of hops back and starts twirling her spear.
Right.
Just randomly. And then eventually you get to see later that one of the Dora Milaje gets caught by Killmonger, and then Killmonger kills her.
Right.
And then all the Dora Milaje that are fighting Killmonger like yell, and then Okoye hops back again and just starts spear twirling.
It's a really cool fight until you see that and notice that, and then you're like,
why is she?
Why? And it's almost like cringy when you watch it because you're like, that's not. She's like, Nakia calls her the greatest warrior Wakanda has.
Right.
Like, why isn't she helping them?
Yeah, I don't understand. Alright, so then the Jabari tribe shows up at the last second with M'Baku being all like, "Witness the might of the Jabari tribe, first hand!" And,
that's a really good impression.
Oh, thank you. And then starts to fight the Border tribe when the Dora Milaje are kind of backed into a corner where they've surrounded them with their shields. So then Black Panther decides to fight Killmonger on his own after Killmonger kind of fights Shuri and Nakia for a second because they come out and try to fight him. But then they have a big fight in the Panther Cave vibranium mine.
Right.
On one of the tracks. And then Black Panther finally gets the upper hand on Killmonger and stabs him with a spearhead. And then they go up and watch the sunset.
Oh, man.
And then Killmonger dies. It's a pretty good scene. Also during the battle, one of the rhinos what's his name? I can't remember. Wakabi, of course. Wakabi is charging toward M'Baku, but then Okoye steps in the way of the rhino, and the rhino just stops and then licks her. Like, she knows the rhino because she's with Wakabi, But it's just pretty gross.
I really like it. I think it's funny.
But why would a rhino lick your face? I don't understand.
It's like a big vibranium-plated, stronger than a tank, massive puppy dog.
Yeah. Also, M'Baku is, like, really strong. Like, he's almost as strong as T'Challa with the herb. Because he literally just lifts up a guy with one hand at arm's length off of his horse, like on top of a rock, and he just holds him up in the air. That's some pretty incredible stuff.
And then he yeets him. He throws
him through the air.
Because the thing is, M'Baku looks like he's a bit thicker, a bit pudgier than Black Panther is.
Yeah, a little bit.
But then you realize, holy schmoes, it's all muscle down there.
It's just crazy.
I really liked the cool BP Killmonger charge when they get charged up by landing on the ground of the vibranium mine, and then they go and they punch each other, and the energy's
cancel each other out.
Man, it's just so cool.
It's pretty cool.
And like you said, M'Baku is just like a savage fighter. He just whips his big ol' stick with the ball at the end around and hits some guys. It's so cool. The fight choreography is so cool. And like you said, T'Challa gets to take Killmonger to see the sunset at the end, and it's just, when he says it's beautiful, it's just like, oh, good on you, man.
Black Panther offers to heal him, but he's like, no, I'd rather die than be in bondage, which, I mean, debatable, but...
Hold on, let me do the quote.
Oh, okay.
Nah, just bury me in the ocean with my ancestors who jumped from the ships, 'cause they knew that death was better than bondage.
That was pretty good.
And then the music just swells.
Yeah. Yeah. That's pretty good.
Also, at the end, M'Baku gets a seat on the council, which is pretty awesome.
That's awesome.
I like to think that they just Black Panther comes up dragging Killmonger's body behind him, and M'Baku's like, so are we friends now? And he's like, yes. Come on, let's go meet in the council. And then they have a really cool, bro bonding moment, and the Jabari tribe gets entered into the whole Wakanda hierarchy.
Yeah.
That'd be cool. So, T'Challa's once again king because he defeated Killmonger in quote-unquote ritual combat, even though nothing about it was ritual at all.
Yep.
And we get to see the after credits scenes. There are two of them, where we have the UN Council scene where he makes a little speech and basically says that we're going to now reveal Wakanda's secret to the rest of the world. And the one rich white guy is like, what can a nation of farmers do for the rest of the world? And he just smiles
and is like, ha ha ha.
And Everett Ross is in the background, and he's smiling.
Yeah.
And then, of course, we get to see the after-credits scene of Sebastian Stan as Bucky Barnes recuperating after the events of Civil War.
That's pretty awesome. And then that is the end of the movie. I really think the end credits are cool. Not the end credit scenes, but the credits before that, because they use the same black sand. It's just not really animated now. It's just kind of... Yeah, it's just different characters as the sand. Yeah, it's just... The black sand is just really cool.
That's a really cool font.
Yeah, the font is also pretty cool. And it's good to see Bucky at the end. You kind of wonder what happens to him. at the end, and Wakanda really looks different in, was it the end of Civil War
It
when
was,
they take him
yeah.
back or put him in cryo-freeze or whatever? It really looks like a whole new Wakanda in the actual Wakanda movie.
Which, of course, is like they weren't planning, or they were planning the movie, but they probably didn't have a super clear vision, and
Yeah.
it was the after-credit scene, so they couldn't do as much. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm just gonna share a really quick story about Sebastian Stan.
Ooh,
So,
all right.
his mother, right, goes to Black Panther because Sebastian told her that he's in it, right? And so she sits through the entire movie, watches the whole movie, comes out, and calls Sebastian afterwards and is like, "Where were you? I didn't see you in the whole film. What character were you?" And he's like, "Mom, you gotta wait until the end of the credits. I'm in the end credits scene."
Oh, that's funny.
He had no idea. It's awesome.
That is awesome.
Thank you for listening to part 1 of Black Panther. This has been Hank Sayz, and we hope to see you all in part 2.
May the ancestors smile upon you.